The biggest bulldozer ever built, a 183-ton twin-engine beast with enough power to flatten a city block, has never pushed a single yard of dirt on a real job site. It was built, it was delivered, and then a political revolution on the other side of the world made sure it would never work a single day. Meanwhile, legendary dozer brands that once ruled construction sites from coast to coast have completely vanished. Here are 10 dozers that were genuinely great but still failed. Number 10. International Harvester TD25. International Harvester was one of the dominant forces in crawler tractor manufacturing throughout the mid-20th century. The TD25, produced from the 1960s through the late 1970s, was one of their flagship large dozers, delivering approximately 250 horsepower and competing directly with the Caterpillar D10 in the heavy construction and mining segments. The TD25 was a genuinely capable machine. It featured a 6-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine, a power shift transmission, and a robust undercarriage that could handle the most demanding earth-moving applications. Contractors who ran TD25s praised them for their pulling power and their ability to move large volumes of material efficiently. In strip mining, road construction, and land clearing, the TD25 held its own against anything Caterpillar offered. But International Harvester was stretched impossibly thin. The company was simultaneously manufacturing farm tractors, highway trucks, construction equipment, gas turbines, and even refrigerators. When the agricultural economy collapsed in the early 1980s and a devastating labor strike in 1979 cost IH an estimated $600 million in lost sales, the company began selling off divisions to survive. The construction equipment division, including the entire crawler dozer line, was sold to Dresser Industries in 1990. Dresser later merged its construction equipment with Komatsu, forming Komatsu Dresser Company. The International Harvester name vanished from the dozer market entirely. What remained of IH was renamed Navistar International and focused exclusively on highway trucks. The agricultural division had already been sold to Tenneco and merged with Case to form Case IH. The collapse of International Harvester is one of the great tragedies of American manufacturing. At its peak, IH was one of the largest and most diversified industrial companies in the United States, with a product line that stretched from compact farm tractors to massive mining dozers. But the company's inability to focus on its core strengths, trying to be everything to everyone, left it vulnerable when economic conditions deteriorated. The TD25 was a great dozer killed not by a better competitor, but by a corporate meltdown that had nothing to do with the quality of the machine itself. Number 9. Oliver OC Series Crawlers. Oliver Farm Equipment Company might be best known for its farm tractors, but the company also produced a line of crawler dozers that earned a loyal following among contractors and loggers. Oliver acquired the Cleveland Tractor Company, known as Cletrac, in 1944, and through this acquisition gained access to one of the oldest and most respected crawler tractor lineages in America. Cletrac had been building crawlers since the early 1900s, and the company's expertise in tracked vehicle design was world-class. Under Oliver's ownership, the Cletrac models evolved into the Oliver OC series. The OC3, OC4, and OC6 were compact, versatile crawlers used in agriculture, logging, and light construction. They were particularly popular in the forestry industry, where their compact size and excellent flotation allowed them to work in terrain that would swallow a larger machine. But Oliver's corporate fate was sealed when White Motor Corporation purchased the company in 1960. White combined Oliver with Minneapolis Molin and Cockshut under the White Farm Equipment banner. Crawler production was relocated to Charles City, Iowa, but by 1965, crawler production was discontinued entirely. White Motor Corporation itself filed for bankruptcy in 1980, and the remnants of Oliver's equipment lines were eventually absorbed by ACCO Corporation. The Oliver crawlers were well-built machines that served their owners faithfully, but they were victims of corporate consolidation, swallowed by a conglomerate that had no interest in maintaining a niche crawler dozer line when the farm equipment market was so much larger. Number 8. Euclid TC12 Dozer. Euclid is famous for its dump trucks, but the company also produced crawler dozers and tractors. The TC12 was one of Euclid's contributions to the dozer market, a cable-operated machine that reflected the company's engineering philosophy of building heavy-duty equipment for the toughest applications. The TC12 featured Euclid's signature heavy construction and used components from the company's proven off-highway truck line. It was designed for earth-moving operations where brute strength mattered more than finesse. In the era before hydraulic blades became standard, cable-operated dozers like the TC12 relied on winches and steel cables to raise and lower the blade, a system that was slower and less precise but mechanically simpler than early hydraulic systems. Euclid's dozer ambitions ended the same way everything else at Euclid ended, through the antitrust lawsuit that forced General Motors to sell Euclid's domestic operations. When GM divested Euclid to White Motors in the early 1960s, the company's focus narrowed back to dump trucks and haulers. The dozer line was discontinued, and Euclid's crawler expertise was lost to history. The truck survived through a chain of corporate owners. The dozers simply vanished. Number 7. Fiat-Allis 41B. The Fiat-Allis 41B has one of the most impressive pedigrees of any dozer on this list. It began life as the Allis-Chalmers HD41, introduced around 1970 as the largest crawler tractor in the world. At approximately 65 tons with a 524 horsepower Cummins turbocharged V12 engine, the HD41 was an absolute colossus. It measured over 20 feet long, 11 feet wide, and 13 feet tall. The tracks came up to the shoulders of a man of average height. The HD41 was manufactured in Springfield, Illinois, and it was designed for strip mining, the kind of work where enormous volumes of overburden need to be pushed aside to reach coal seams below. In that role, the HD41 was formidable. Operators who ran them described the machine as simple to operate despite its massive size, with all hydraulic controls that responded smoothly. In 1974, Allis-Chalmers entered a joint venture with Fiat for its construction equipment division, and the machine was rebranded as the Fiat-Allis 41 Pup. Various iterations were produced through the 1980s, but the 41 Pup was quickly surpassed in size and power by Komatsu's D555A and Caterpillar's revolutionary D10, which debuted in 1977 with the innovative elevated sprocket high-drive undercarriage system that dramatically improved track life and reduced maintenance costs. Allis-Chalmers itself was acquired by Deutz-Fahr in 1985. Fiat eventually merged its construction equipment division with Case to form CNH Global. Through all these corporate gymnastics, the massive HD41 41B lineage was discontinued. The dozers were great. Operators who ran them will tell you they were far better machines than they ever got credit for, but Allis-Chalmers could never escape its reputation for unreliable final drives that dated back to the 1940s, and the brand could never match Caterpillar's dealer network and service support. Number 6. Komatsu D555A Prototype. In 1981, Komatsu unveiled a prototype bulldozer at the ConExpo Equipment Exhibition in Houston, Texas, that made the entire industry sit up and take notice. The D555A was a 1,000 horsepower monster designed to push the boundaries of what a crawler dozer could accomplish. The D555A was supposed to be Komatsu's assault on the ultra-large dozer market, directly challenging Caterpillar's dominance in the biggest size class. The engineering was impressive. A massive diesel engine, heavy-duty tracks, and a blade system designed to move enormous volumes of material in a single pass. But the timing could not have been worse. The global economy slid into recession in the early 1980s, and the mining industry, the primary market for ultra-large dozers, cut back sharply on equipment purchases. Development of the D555A was stalled for most of the decade. Only a single prototype was ever built, and it never entered production. Komatsu did not abandon the concept entirely. When economic conditions improved in the late 1980s, the company used the D555A's technology as the foundation for the D575A, which began field testing in 1989 and entered full production in The D575A went on to become the world's largest production bulldozer with 1,150 horsepower and an operating weight of over 336,000 pounds. But the D555A itself, the machine that started it all, never made it past the prototype stage. A great dozer that was simply born at the wrong time. Number 5. ACCO Super Bulldozer. This is the machine from our hook. the biggest bulldozer ever built, and it has never done a day of real work. The ACCO Super Bulldozer was constructed by the Italian company ACCO using a combination of custom-built components and modified Caterpillar parts, including twin Cat engines producing a combined 1,350 horsepower. The machine weighs approximately 133 metric tons, making it significantly larger than even the Komatsu D575A. The ACCO Super Bulldozer was built in the early 1980s for a land development program in Libya. It was designed to clear and level vast tracts of desert land for agricultural and infrastructure projects. The machine was completed, tested, and delivered. But before it could be put to work, political upheaval in Libya disrupted the land development program. The project was cancelled, and the ACCO Super Bulldozer was left without a purpose. The machine has sat idle ever since. Despite being the largest bulldozer ever constructed, it has never performed production work. It remains in Italy, a monument to what happens when engineering capability outpaces political stability. The ACCO Super Bulldozer is technically the biggest dozer in the world, but the Komatsu D575A holds the title of largest production bulldozer because the ACCO was a one-off custom machine that never entered series manufacture. The sheer scale of the ACCO is difficult to comprehend without standing next to it. Its blade is wide enough to clear a multi-lane highway in a single pass. The twin engines produce enough combined horsepower to pull virtually anything out of the ground. The tracks are engineered to support its extraordinary weight while distributing ground pressure evenly enough to prevent the machine from sinking into soft terrain. Every engineering challenge was solved. Every component was built to specification. The only thing that was not engineered was the political landscape, and that is what killed it. A dozer that was great in every engineering sense but failed because the world it was built for ceased to exist. Number 4. Case 1150 Crawler Dozer. The Case 1150 was a mid-sized crawler dozer produced by J.I. Case starting in the 1960s. It was powered by a Case diesel engine producing approximately 100 to 120 horsepower, depending on the variant, and it was a popular choice for contractors doing road building, site preparation, and agricultural land clearing. The 1150 was known for its smooth operation and its effective power shift transmission, which allowed operators to change gears without stopping, a significant productivity advantage in dozer work where maintaining momentum is critical. The machine's hydraulic system was well designed, providing precise blade control for finish grading work, but Case's dozer line suffered from the same corporate upheaval that affected so many equipment manufacturers in the 1980s. Tenneco acquired J.I. Case in 1967 and later merged it with International Harvester's agricultural division to form Case IH. The construction equipment side eventually became part of CNH Global alongside New Holland and Fiat Kobelco. Through all these transitions, the crawler dozer line received less investment and development attention. Case still produces crawler dozers today under the Case Construction Equipment banner. But the brand never achieved the dominance in the dozer market that Caterpillar and Komatsu established. The crawler dozer line was always treated as a secondary priority behind Case's more profitable product lines: backhoe loaders, skid steers, and excavators. The 1150 was a solid, capable machine that deserved a better fate than being overshadowed by corporate restructuring and shifting investment priorities. Contractors who ran them will tell you the 1150 was every bit as good as a comparable Caterpillar in its size class. It just never had the marketing muscle or dealer support to prove it to the broader market. Number 3. Caterpillar D10. First generation. This might be the most surprising entry on our list. The Caterpillar D10, introduced in 1977, was a genuine engineering breakthrough. At over 700 horsepower, it was the most powerful dozer Caterpillar had ever built. More importantly, it introduced the revolutionary elevated sprocket high drive undercarriage, which moved the drive sprocket up and away from the ground. This kept the final drive out of the dirt, rocks, and abrasive material that destroyed conventional undercarriages, dramatically extending track and component life. The D10 was a great dozer. It changed the industry forever. But the first generation experienced significant reliability problems that tarnished its reputation during its critical early years. The unprecedented power output stressed components that had not been fully validated for the extreme loads the machine produced. Early D10 operators reported issues with the drive system, cooling system, and structural components. Caterpillar addressed these problems in subsequent generations, and the D10 evolved into one of the most successful large dozers in history. The current D10 T2 is a proven, reliable machine that dominates the mining and heavy construction market. But the first-generation D10, the one that broke new ground with the high drive concept, stumbled badly enough that many contractors initially chose to stick with the older, smaller D9, which they knew they could depend on. The irony is that the high drive undercarriage system, which caused some of the D10's early growing pains, became the industry standard that every major manufacturer eventually adopted. Caterpillar's engineers were right about the concept. Elevating the drive sprocket away from abrasive ground contact was a brilliant solution to one of the dozer industry's most persistent problems. But being right about the concept does not help when the first machines off the line are breaking down in the field. The D10 eventually won contractors over, but those early reliability issues cost Caterpillar credibility at a crucial moment and gave competitors like Komatsu an opening to establish themselves in the large dozer segment that they might not otherwise have found. Number 2. Komatsu D575A Superdozer. Wait, the world's largest production bulldozer is on a list of dozers that failed? Absolutely. The Komatsu D575A is the most impressive crawler dozer ever put into series production. At 1,150 horsepower, 336,000 pounds operating weight, and capable of moving 125 cubic yards of material per pass with the optional blade, it is in a class entirely by itself. No other production dozer comes close. But the D575A was a commercial disappointment for Komatsu. Manufacturing costs were extraordinarily high, far exceeding what the market would support. Komatsu admitted internally that the D575A ran at a financial loss because production costs were much higher than twice those of their D455A, even though the D575A's output was only about double. The company absorbed the loss because their overall dozer sales were strong enough to subsidize it. Between 1991 and 2012, Komatsu built only about 30 D575A units across all variants. For a machine that took over a decade to develop and required massive investment in engineering and tooling, 30 units is a remarkably low production run. The D575A competed, at least indirectly, against the well-established Caterpillar D10. Adding the D575A to Komatsu's lineup actually split their own sales between the D475A and the D575A, cannibalizing their existing product rather than taking share from Caterpillar. Moving the machine between job sites required disassembly into components loaded onto 6 to 8 truckloads. This complexity limited the D575A's appeal to only the largest mining operations. The final D575A3 was built in 2012 as a custom order for Alcoa in Australia, and production ended. The world's largest production dozer was retired, not because a bigger machine replaced it, but because the market for ultra-large dozers was simply too small to justify continued production. Engineering excellence does not guarantee commercial success. Number 1. Allis-Chalmers entire crawler line. At the top of our list sits not a single dozer, but an entire dynasty of crawler machines that should have dominated the industry for generations. The complete Allis-Chalmers crawler dozer lineup. Allis-Chalmers had been in the crawler business since acquiring the Monarch Tractor Company in the late 1920s. Through the 1930s, 1940s, Allis-Chalmers produced a comprehensive range of crawler dozers. The HD5, HD6, HD11, HD16, HD20, HD21, and eventually the massive HD41. These machines were used in farming, logging, road building, mining, and military construction worldwide. During World War II, Allis-Chalmers crawlers served alongside Caterpillar machines with the U.S. military's construction battalions. The HD21, in particular, was a respected large dozer that competed directly with the Caterpillar D8. Operators who ran both machines often noted that the Allis-Chalmers was quicker and more agile than the Cat, particularly in forward speed. The HD16 and HD11 were workhorses in the mid-size class. and the smaller HD5 and HD6 found homes on farms and small construction projects nationwide. But Allis-Chalmers never fully overcame a reputation problem that dated back to the 1940s. Early models had issues with final drive reliability. Even after the problem was engineered out of later designs, the perception lingered. Contractors who had experienced a final drive failure on an old Allis-Chalmers would tell the story for decades, and that word-of-mouth reputation was poison in an industry where equipment decisions are often based on personal experience. The company's pivot to Detroit diesel two-stroke engines in the 1940s was smart engineering but created dependency on an outside engine supplier. When Allis-Chalmers finally developed its own line of diesel engines for the HD11 and later models, the results were good but came late in the game. Caterpillar had been building its own diesel engines for decades and had an unassailable reputation for powertrain integration. The joint venture with Fiat in 1974 was the beginning of the end. Fiat-Allis never invested enough in the crawler line to keep it competitive with Caterpillar's rapidly advancing technology. The elevated sprocket system on the Cat D10 was a leap that Fiat-Allis simply could not match. The Deutz-Fahr acquisition in 1985, the eventual merger into CNH, and the gradual discontinuation of the entire Allis-Chalmers/Fiat-Allis dozer lineup over the following years completed the collapse. Today, the Allis-Chalmers name is a memory in the dozer world. Surviving machines are collector's items, admired by enthusiasts who remember when the bright orange crawlers were a common sight on job sites across America. The dozers themselves were genuinely well-engineered machines that were far better than their reputation suggested. But reputation, combined with corporate mismanagement and relentless competition from Caterpillar, proved to be obstacles that even the best engineering could not overcome. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe. Tell us in the comments which of these dozers surprised you the most, and if you have ever operated any of the machines on this list. We want to hear your stories. Until next time, keep pushing.